In the sweltering heat of a forgotten Pacific outpost during World War II, Captain J. Harlan emerged as a figure of unyielding determination. A tall, broad-shouldered engineer from Pennsylvania, whose childhood dreams of soaring through the skies had been tempered by rejection and forged in the fires of ingenuity. Born into a family of means in 1918, Jay spent his formative years tinkering with machines, his hands grease-stained from dismantling old engines in the family garage, where the scent of oil mingled with the crisp autumn air. Sent to a strict military academy in Indiana as a teenager, he defied the no-vehicle rule by secretly acquiring a battered Willys Overland Whippet, a rugged precursor to the Jeep, which he rebuilt into a roaring beast that hummed with power under his expert modifications. The dean's office loomed like a courtroom when his secret was uncovered by Jay's passionate plea about his engineering prowess, and the practical education he'd gained turned the tide, earning him not just permission to keep the vehicle, but extra credit that boosted his standing among his peers. Graduating with honors despite an initial rocky start, he set his sights on MIT, only to face rejection due to those early grades, prompting him to drive cross-country in his beloved Whippet and camp outside the admissions building until his persistence won him a spot in the prestigious program. At college, Jay's fascination shifted skyward when he first piloted a small trainer plane, the rush of wind and the hum of the engine igniting a passion that eclipsed his civil engineering studies, leading him to join the ROTC program with visions of becoming a fighter ace dancing in his mind. Yet obstacles mounted when Army Air Corps evaluators deemed him too large for fighter cockpits, relegating him to bombers. And worse, his poor eyesight barred him entirely, a crushing blow that sent him back to his books with a heavy heart. Undeterred, Jay delved into obscure remedies, discovering Dr. William Bates' controversial eye-strengthening methods, which involved exercises like staring at the sun to train his vision like muscles, a risky endeavor that scorched his retinas, but underscored his unbreakable will to fly. As war clouds gathered over Europe and Asia, standards loosened, and Jay seized his chance, entering flight school where his natural talent and relentless study made him the standout bomber pilot, mastering maneuvers that pushed the massive B-17 flying fortress to its limits, identifying enemy aircraft by mere silhouettes in split-second glances. It was here that he crossed paths with Lieutenant Joe Carnac, a sharp-eyed bombardier from the Midwest whose precision with the Norden bomb sight was legendary, earning him comparisons to basketball sharpshooters for his uncanny ability to place bombs on targets with deadly accuracy. The two bonded over shared ambitions and a disdain for bureaucracy, their friendship solidifying during grueling training exercises where Jay's piloting flair complemented Joe's unerring aim, turning simulated runs into displays of aerial artistry. Graduation scattered them to different units, but fate reunited them in the steamy jungles of Australia, assigned to the beleaguered 5th Air Force, dubbed the Forgotten Fifth for its underfunded role in containing Japanese expansion in the Pacific, while the spotlight shone on Europe. Arriving as a fresh-faced lieutenant, Jay faced skepticism from battle-hardened crews, wary of rookies in an era when Japanese Zeros dominated the skies, outmatching American fighters like the outdated P-40s and leaving bombers vulnerable to merciless attacks. To prove himself, Jay volunteered for the deadliest missions posted on the squadron bulletin board, reconnaissance flights deep into enemy territory, where lone B-17s, stripped of bombs and laden with cameras and fuel tanks, mapped Japanese strongholds without escort. A suicide run that demanded versatility from every crew member. Starting as a tail gunner, Jay learned the sting of .50 caliber recoil against his shoulder, the acrid smoke filling the cramped turret as he scanned for incoming fighters, his engineering mind noting every vibration and flaw in the aircraft's design. Progressing to waist gunner, he braced against the howling wind through open ports, fingers numb on the triggers, while mentally cataloging the B-17's vulnerabilities, particularly the weak forward armament that left the nose exposed to head-on assaults. As navigator, he plotted courses over vast oceans, relying on stars and dead reckoning, his calculations saving crews from drifting into storms or enemy patrols. Radio operator duties honed his communication skills, decoding urgent messages amid static bursts, all while building a reputation for calm under fire that eventually earned him co-pilot slots. In these roles, Jay deciphered the Japanese tactic of overtaking from behind, looping around for frontal strikes where the B-17's 2.30 caliber cheek guns offered pitiful defense, a flaw he vowed to counter with innovative maneuvers. His breakthrough came on his first command flight, a volunteer recon over Rabaul, where a Zero executed the predictable loop only for Jay to bank the massive bomber sharply, exposing its belly and allowing the ball turret and tail gunners to shred the attacker in a hail of bullets. The crew, shaken by the audacious tilt that strained the airframe to groaning protests, landed safely but swore off flying with the crazy pilot, a label that stuck as Jay's bold tactics saved lives but terrified his comrades. Months of such runs built his legend, but isolation persisted until reinforcements brought Joe Karnak, reigniting their partnership as they volunteered together, their synergy turning missions into triumphs that attracted like-minded misfits weary of rigid hierarchies. First came navigator Bud Thorne, a wiry intellectual whose map-reading genius navigated through monsoons in flak, his quirky humor lightening tense hours in the air. Then radio specialist Will Baxter, a grizzled veteran whose prior ambush survival, holding off 500 Japanese troops with salvaged machine guns, racking up kills with pistol and blade, made him a walking arsenal of grit. His tales of close-quarters combat earning Jay's quip about avoiding knife fights at altitude but valuing such ferocity. Camera expert at waist gunner Greg Kane joined next, a lone wolf who insisted on manning both sides solo, declaring the guns his domain and refusing to share space. His marksmanship turning the mid-fuselage into a fortress of overlapping fire. Young mechanic prodigy John Abel, a 19-year-old farm boy with golden hands, traded ground duties for top turret gunner, learning piloting from Jay while fine-tuning engines for peak performance. Rounding up at corps was Herb Bold Patton, a hulking former athlete whose strength wrestled the rear guns with ease, his booming laugh echoing through the plane during lulls. These men, dubbed the Eager Beavers for their relentless volunteering, formed a bond, unbreakable, a ragtag band of outcasts who thrived on danger, their camaraderie forged in shared defiance and late-night poker games under mosquito nets. Leadership, irked by their independence, assigned them routine bombing runs, positioning them as lead plane in formations where the first drop alerted defenses, sparing them the brunt of anti-aircraft fire, a safe slot that chafed their adventurous spirits.
On one such mission over a Japanese-held island, they dropped ordnance as ordered, then J-looped back over open water, returning low at 1,000 feet to strafe enemy gun emplacements with turret and waist guns, transforming the B-17 into an improvised gunship that silenced spotlights and batteries, ensuring the squadron's safe return. Hailed by fellow crews, but condemned by superiors for insubordination, the Beavers faced court-martial threats, only averted when an embedded journalist's story reached a congressman, forcing awards of Silver Stars amid grudging admiration. Punished with tougher assignments, they embraced the challenge, next tackling the flight of the Shadows, a nocturnal strike on Rabal's officer club rumored to host Admiral Yamamoto amid geisha entertainments. Joe, studying maps obsessively, diverted from the hotel to bomb a massive ammo depot, triggering chain explosions that crippled Japanese supplies, defying orders but achieving greater impact. Interrogations failed to break crew loyalty, leading to a repeat mission under heightened alert, where Joe again struck gold by targeting a fuel storage, erupting in a fireball visible for miles. Grounded for disobedience, denied aircraft, the Beavers turned to the boneyard, salvaging a gutted B-17 husk marked Lucy with tail number 412666, dubbing it Old Devil for its cursed aura and bullet-riddled frame. With Jay's engineering blueprints and John's mechanical wizardry, they rebuilt it piecemeal, acquiring parts from other planes. New Wright Cyclone engines, advanced radios, high-res cameras, and an arsenal of 1950 caliber Brownings, while living aboard to guard against thieves, rumors of loaded guns and Will's knife deterring intruders. Modifying beyond regulations, they mounted a fixed nose gun slaved to Jay's controls, dubbed the Schnoz Blaster. Upgraded cheek guns to .50s, added duals in the navigator spot and radio compartment, doubled waist armament, and installed belly twins for low-angle defense, shedding weight for speed while strapping spares inside. Training intensified, each Beaver mastering the M2 disassembly blindfolded, linking ammo with alternating armor piercing and tracers for a laser-like barrage to intimidate foes. Nose art remained unfinished amid constant missions, the plane's devilish moniker sticking as they resumed recon, downing Zeros with enhanced firepower, and Jay's evasive rolls, their claims so bold they rigged cameras to activate on trigger pulls, capturing kills on film like early action cams. Reputation soaring, leadership tasked them with the ultimate peril, mapping Bougainville's coast for a 40,000-man marine invasion requiring 22 minutes of straight, level flight at 6,000 feet in daylight with trimetragon cameras to spot submerged reefs deep in enemy airspace teeming with fighters and flak. Volunteering en masse despite slim odds, they prepped Old Devil, ignoring added orders for extra footage, launching pre-dawn and detouring to film Buka Passage on impulse. Approaching the coast, they spotted an airfield scrambling 22 elite Zeros, including aces with dozens of kills. Yet Jay pressed on, visualizing Marines trapped on reefs, completing the run as pursuers closed. The dogfight erupted. Jay's nose gun flaming the lead Zero, Joe's blast downing another before cannon fire shredded the nose, wounding both gravely, destroying oxygen and instruments. Diving to breathable altitude, Jay, bleeding profusely, piloted by instinct, throttling engines differentially after rudder failure as Beaver poured tracer streams, shredding 5 Zeros and damaging more in a 45-minute melee. Ammo depleted, foes peeled away, low on fuel, Jay lapsing unconscious as the co-pilot landed, medics prioritizing others, assuming him dead. Awakening days later, Jay learned of Joe's posthumous Medal of Honor for fighting on mortally wounded, his own award following, with crew earning Distinguished Service Crosses, marking the most decorated mission and crew ever. Old Devil, pocked with 187 holes and 5 cannon impacts, expended thousands of rounds, contradicting Japanese denials of losses, a testament to the Beavers' blend of recklessness and heroism that turned misfits into legends. Expanding on their legacy, imagine the post-mission debriefs, where survivors recounted the chaos, Bull's tail gun chewing through a diving Zero's wing, Greg's waist barrage stitching patterns across attackers, Will's radio guns barking defiance while patching comms. Jay's recovery involved months of therapy, his scarred body a map of survival, yet he returned to advise on bomber tactics, influencing designs like the B-29. Joe's family received his medal with careful pride, his intuitive strikes inspiring bombardier training reforms. The Beavers scattered post-war, Bud to academia, charting stars, John to aviation engineering, building jets, Greg to photography, capturing peacetime vistas, Bull to coaching, molding young athletes, Will to security, his combat tales becoming barroom epics. Old Devil, too damaged for repair, was scrapped, but its blueprints influenced fortified gunships in Korea and Vietnam. Historians debate the exact kill count, but declassified films confirm the frenzy, tracers arcing like fireworks against tropical skies. In quieter moments, Jay reflected on that fateful bank, the sun-glinted reefs below sealing their resolve, a pivot from flight to fight that saved thousands. Their story, whispered in veterans' halls, embodies the rogue spirit that wins wars, not blind obedience, but bold innovation amid adversity. To flesh out the narrative, consider the pre-war lives in detail. Jay's Pennsylvania boyhood involved hiking Appalachian trails, sketching bridges he'd one day build. His father's factory job instilling mechanical curiosity. At the academy, pranks like rigging dorm alarms bonded him with cadets, foreshadowing crew loyalty. MIT nights found him in labs welding prototypes, ROTC drills sharpening discipline. Vision quests under Bates' regime left him with sunspots but unbreakable tenacity, a metaphor for staring down war's glare. Joe's upbringing on a Nebraska farm honed his eye for distances, slinging rocks at fence posts, later translating to bomb sight mastery.
Their first meeting at flight school involved a mock dogfight where Jay's loop evaded Joe's bomb, sparking laughter and friendship over mess hall chow. In Australia, the Forgotten Fist's morale sagged under supply shortages, pilots nursing P-39s inferior to Zeros, bombers returning riddled or not at all. Jay's initial shunning led to solitary hangar vigils, studying manuals by lantern light, memorizing every B-17 quirk. Volunteer missions built scars, one recon dodging flak over New Guinea, engines buttering from hits, Jay nursing at home on fumes. As co-pilot, he witnessed a Zero's fatal pass, the exploding Ally plane a grim lesson in vulnerability. Reuniting with Joe, their first joint run targeted shipping, Joe's pinpoint drop sinking a transport amid AA bursts, crew toasting with contraband beer. Assembling the Beavers involved spotting talents. Bud's navigation saved a storm-lost formation. Will's ambush survival made headlines in base papers. Greg's solo gunning repelled a probe. John's engine fix revived a dead bird. Bull's strength hauled wounded aboard mid-flight. Their nickname arose from a briefing quip about eager to chew through danger, sticking like glue. The ground attack improvisation drew cheers from saved crews, but whereas fury led to confinement, the journalist's expose turning tide with congressional probe. Silver stars pinned amid glares, tougher missions followed, like shadowing convoys through squalls. The Shadow's flight's geisha dilemma weighed on Joe, his map visuals uncovering depots via inferred shadows and patterns, his moral compass prioritizing military over civilian targets. Repeat run success infuriated command, grounding them, But boneyard raids became legend. Night transfers under moonless skies, tools clinking softly. Rebuilding Old Devil involved welding patches over holes, rerouting hydraulics, John's innovations boosting throttle response. Armament overkill tested in mock runs, tracers lighting jungle nights. Training montages, blindfold assemblies timed, ammo linking by firelight, Jay drilling maneuvers on simulators.
Recon triumphs, downing trios of zeros over Solomons, camera kills silencing doubters. Bougainville brief chilled spines, but loyalty prevailed. Pre-flight rituals, handshakes, lucky charms, ceiling pact. Launch into dawn. Buka detouring, spotting hidden guns. Coastal run revealing reefs like skeletal fingers. Airfield scramble. Tension mounting as engines hum steady, cameras whirring. Assault's fury. Cannon shells punch in plexiglass, blood spraying. Joe's defiant bursts before collapse. Dives G-forces, penned crew. Jay's manifold reeds biting pull-up. Dogfight chaos. Beavers calling targets, guns jamming then clearing. Zeros spiraling in flames. Fuel salvation. Landing thug. Medics rush. Award ceremony. Jay on crutches, saluting Joe's portrait. Crew beaming through bandages. Legacy endures in museums, books, films, inspiring modern aviators on drone ethics, autonomous flights echoing their ingenuity. To reach depth, delve into psychological toll. Jay's nightmares of falling reefs, Joe's ghost in bomb sites, Beavers' reunion sharing faded photos. Post-war, Jay consulted on aerospace, patenting mods. Others mentored youth, their tale a beacon of camaraderie against odds. And so the Eager Beavers saga, a tapestry rebellion and valor, weaves through history's annals, reminding that heroes often forged their own wings. Expanding further, envision alternate angles, a mechanic's view of Old Devil's rebirth, sparks flying in humid hangars, John's hands blistering from wrenches, or Joe's internal monologue during math studies, weighing lives against strategy, his Catholic upbringing clashing with war's demands.
Bull's physicality in combat, muscles straining against recoil, sweat stinging eyes as he tracked foes. Greg's isolation in waist, wind whipping, fingers flying between guns. Will's flashbacks mid-battle, knife scars itching as he manned new positions. Bud's calculations under fire, pencil scribbling amid shakes. The mission's aftermath, hospital vigils, letters home censored but hopeful. Congressional hearings exposing command pettiness, elevating beavers to icons. Japanese perspectives, pilots' logs noting demon bomber with fear. Cultural impact, songs composed, models built, video games simulating the fight. In essence, their story transcends war, embodying human spirit's triumph over conformity, a cool epic of underdogs arming up and soaring high. Continuing the narrative with enriched details, recall the Pacific's vastness, Old Devil cutting through clouds like a shark, crew banter crackling over intercoms to ease nerves, Jay's voice steady, calling turns, Joe's calm drops, the roar of guns in symphony. Post-mission, salvaged film, revolutionized mapping, saving marine lives in landings that turn tides. Jay's medal speech, humble, crediting team, family's pride swelling. Years later, survivors' tales at VFW halls, grandchildren wide-eyed.